You're listening to Blues and News with Brother Jacob, and right now I am on the phone with uh, Jennifer Noble, who is a wonderful photographer. She's been a photographer for over 30 years, and she's photographed some of the top names in the blues industry. And today, what we're doing is we're going to talk about a book that she's recently released and published called 50 Women in the Blues. So I'm so happy to be talking with Jennifer, who I know is 6 hours away over in London right now, and getting ready to go over to another blues gig before they shut down again for COVID. So I want to go ahead and
I
introduce Jennifer.
know.
Jennifer, how are you?
I'm great. I'm so excited to be on your show. I want to thank you so much for having me. I've always been a fan of you on stage and off stage here and everything that you do. You're quite a go-getter and a smart young guy and always talking very affiliated with your university, right?
Yes, that's
University
right.
of Illinois.
Yep.
University. Yeah, so I mean, you're like a role model. I mean, for the younger generation, and that's really cool. So, and you love the blues as much as me.
Thank you. And yeah, I do. I love the blues. And when I heard about this book, 50 Women in the Blues, and then when we talked about it, I was like, absolutely, we've got to talk about this on the radio show because
Yeah,
I think that our blues women are underrated and they don't get the attention, same amount of attention as the men in this male dominated genre. And so just to know about this book that you released, and also you've taken some great photographs of me, by the way, I have to say. And as you know, I use one for my business card, so I'm like, I gotta get Jennifer on here. um,
thank you. I would photograph you more, but I left town 10 years ago, so it's hard to catch you.
yeah,
And
one
you've
day I'll
been
come
you.
over there.
Oh God, that'd be cool. You'd be popular. You, I don't know. They kind of embrace more guitar shredding kind of blues here than they do the down home Chicago blues. But they've it's all comes from Chicago blues. The influence of Britain. Early British R&B is all influenced by the Muddy Waters and Howlin'
Absolutely.
Wolf and everything. So I don't know. They just upped it a notch and they kind of express themselves here with their guitars. Their guitars more than their songs and vocals. You know,
Absolutely.
Eric Clapton. But let's talk about the women.
Yeah,
Let's talk.
absolutely. And I just want to know. I'm curious to know how have you been doing, during this whole pandemic too, because, normally normally I know you'd be out at all the festivals and everyone's gigs,
Yep.
taking photos, and I mean, how has that been for you? Since everything has been shut down and there's not as many gigs and venues are closing down. How's that been for you?
Yeah, it was a big change because going to see live music is my choice of entertainment, and it's what I do. I would probably even go out here 2 to 3 times a week in London to see live music. And so what it did is, well, I got online as every other musician went online, and I started watching different artists on Facebook, and then I started donating. I got a surprise stimulus check, which I didn't expect, so it allowed me to keep donating back to these musicians, and I especially tried to support the women in my book because why wouldn't I? That were online performing. And so it's been a treat in that sense that I've been able to stay home and be safe, but yet I've got to see musicians around the world that I normally wouldn't be able to see perform. Lisa Mann, who's in my book, she lives in Portland, Oregon. She does a lot of online stuff. Ivy Ford, the young Ivy Ford, who's going to be a blockbuster of a musician. She's only 27. She's one of the youngest people in my book. Ivy Ford from the
Yes.
Chicago area, and love her music. I'm a super fan of Ivy Ford, and so it's that's how I've kept myself busy. And then when you're at home and things slow down, you have different ways to check out your creativity. And so since I my whole life was taking pictures, for so long of live
Mm-hmm.
music. I got into making musical jewelry. So that's what I'm doing right now. And that's soon to be
Awesome.
launched. Yeah,
Oh, that's
so
wonderful. Musical jewelry. So, like,
I've always,
what do you?
yeah, like earrings with guitar picks
Oh,
and guitars hanging from them, like hoops and stuff. You'll see. I'm about to launch it on Etsy, which is a big, huge, jewelry.
Yes. I'm
Yeah,
familiar
yeah,
with
yeah.
Etsy. Oh, that'll be. Oh, you have to share that information with us once you do
I
that.
know, but believe it or not, this is really funny. The hardest part about this is taking the right photographs because jewelry I didn't know was so hard to photograph without shadows and making metal look good.
Mm.
It's a whole different way of photographing than photographing artists. So I thought I'd be just whipping through that, and I'm like, geez, Jen, you got to watch some YouTube videos on this. It's like challenging me, and I'm like, what? Come on. I didn't think it'd be such a big deal. And so I've been making the jewelry. I got tons of jewelry to sell, but you first impressions are lasting. So you have to, if you're going to put yourself out there, you've got to have some good photographs of
Right.
what you're selling.
Well,
So
I know that if I know you, I know you'll figure it out. You.
I know. Well, I've already sent a few pairs to some wonderful Chicago people, to like my editor of Chicago Blues Guide, Linda Kane. She's a drummer, so I made a
Yes.
pair of drum kit earrings, and I sent them to her because she's one of the reasons that this book came about because. And Linda, I've been director of photography since 2008 of Chicago Blues Guide, and that has allowed me a lot of press passes to get up close to the artists to be able to take proper photographs of them. And without the support of Linda Kane from Chicago Blues Guide, I don't know if this book would have came about. So,
Well,
I have to thank her, and so I always try to send her little thank you gifts, and everything for all the support. And we've been partners over the years since 2008, supporting blues.
well,
Uh,
and speaking of that book, and I'm glad you also brought up Linda Kane too. Speaking of the book, I mean, let's talk about 50 Women in the Blues. I know that there's also another contributor, Zoe Howe. Is that correct? Did I say that correctly?
well, yeah, I personally never met her.
Oh, okay.
My publisher picked her. This book, by the way, was my publisher's idea. She is from the same town, the same borough in London that I live in, her publishing office, and she got to know me through local gigs and stuff, and she suggested we do a book with my photographs. She really liked my photography, but we didn't necessarily think of women when we first met up. So when we got met up, we said, well, what kind of book should we do? And but it turns out that she, as a publisher, focuses on the arts and women authors and women, in the arts. And she's done one on 50 women sculptors, or whatever. So she said, well, what about women in the blues? And so we did some research online. We found out that there was no book out there that had the women telling their stories, of today's women, contemporary women.
That
So
is
she says,
hard to believe, but wow.
I know. And so we thought, so she goes, let's do that. And then when I left her office, I said, what did I just get myself into? Because my very first thought was, do I have enough photographs? And that took about 10 minutes of thought. And I'm like, of course you do, Jennifer. How many years you've been doing this? Of course you do. And then, when I started looking through my photograph, because it was supposed to be my photographs, uh, that's how it all came about. And so that's why most of the women in the book are all my accompanied by my photographs or stories. But then there was just a few women that I really wanted in my book uh, that I didn't have good enough photographs, or they didn't like the photographs that I had, and I agreed with them. So I was holding myself back, and I thought, you know, just Jen, just get ask them to send you some, cause my book was all about getting as much diversity as I could, like spreading myself out around the globe as much as possible.
Mm-hmm.
Like, not just obviously I could have done 25 Chicago women, you know, I could have, but I wanted diversity. I didn't achieve my goal 100%. I don't even think I have any drummers in here, even though I tried to get a hold of some drummers. Like I really wanted Cheryl Youngblood. Cheryl
Mm-hmm.
Youngblood, she's
Yes.
fantastic. She's fabulous.
Yes, she
But
is.
she got back to me after the publication date, so I couldn't get her in. And then I tried for Super Chicken, his daughter. Super Chicken's daughter is a drummer. So I tried for her,
Mm.
but she didn't get back to me at all either. But anyway, that's another story. There's a whole bunch of women not in the book that I tried. And then at 240 pages, my publisher says, enough. Because she initially wanted to do it in black and white. I said, I won't do it. I won't do the book in black and white. I'm a color photographer. I like color. I won't do the book if it's just going to be black and white. That is a showcase who I am or represent who I am.
Sure.
So at 240 pages, she was going to limit it to 200. At 240, she goes, no more artists. I go, but who's going to count if I have 51? I mean, nobody cares. I know. So I wanted to keep going because, trust me, Jacob, I have 50 more easily that I could do.
Oh, I know. I I have no doubt about it. Probably could do another 100 more at the minimum. So
I know,
I
but I could, yeah.
so who
So,
knows? Maybe you can do a part two.
well, everybody keeps saying that. You know what the nice thing about this book is, though?
What's that?
All the women in it a lot of the women in it have connected and been made aware of each other and like are communicating with each other on festivals and events and they become friends, like Shemekia
Mm-hmm.
Copeland, Terry O'Dobby, um, um, let's not I don't know about Nellie, but Thornetta Davis, but these women have been made aware of each other more so because of the book, because of
Mm.
being in this book. So they've all kind of, they talk to each other now and they connect, some of them. So that's kind of cool, you know?
Absolutely. So it's doing some community building, is what you're saying, amongst
Yeah.
some of the women blues singers. That's wonderful.
And also what it's done is give me a platform to continue to push for more women at festivals and more women getting, booked. I stand up for them for many years before this book. Already in Britain, I call out these promoters. I go, where are the women? In Europe here, because in Chicago, I can't, I'm not there, I'm over here. But in the UK and in Europe, I asked these promoters, I said, we could use more women, more harmonica players, it's always too many men playing guitars. I'm like, come on, so that I was supposed to have, by the way, my first, um, as a promoter, my first, promoting my first gig, because it's a risk to be a promoter. You have to pay the band if no one shows up.
Right.
Uh, and I was going to have my first one. It was four women well, three women in my book, plus Honeybee Mama in London here in May. Lynn Jordan was coming over. She had a gig in Portugal, and then she was going to come over to London. And then I had Kat Pearson in my book, Sister Cookie, and then Honeybee Mama. So it was four black women, which is unheard of in London. And they're all going to perform on stage for 30 minutes. And I was so excited. I had the band, everything was set up, promo was done, and cancellations, everything shut down. It's like, ah!
Yikes. Well, hopefully
I,
hopefully they can reschedule something like that. once everything, I'm keeping my fingers crossed when I say this, but once everything gets back to normal, because that sounds like a really good show. Oh my
Oh, I
gosh.
know. I know it. It's not been done. Because I asked other women, I go, do you ever remember when like four black blues singers were on stage at one time? And nobody could think that that ever happened here in London when it came to blues music, you know.
Mm.
So just like a blues show. So that's why I was all excited and I had great confidence and I was ready to go for it because people have been telling me to promote music for years. Oh, you should be a promoter, Jen, with your love and enthusiasm of blues. I'm like, yeah, but it's a big risk. It can be a financial risk. You got to have the money, you know,
Yeah, well, you're
and
right about
and
that.
hope that you break even,
Yeah,
right?
well, you're right about
Right?
that, and we need a lot of people to, invest in the blues. So you're very right about that, and it's, yeah,
Yeah, but I have confidence now, and I'm gonna try to pursue this more, you know, um, promoting women. You know,
good.
I'm gonna keep this going, but I always pay attention, like I said, to the promoters over here, and I'm like, come on, where's the women?
Well, you just have to you have to show the promoters how it's done. We'll give you a diverse
Yeah,
blues show, and we'll bring in the women, and we'll show you how. We'll show you some blues.
yeah,
what
yeah.
what so talk to me with the book. You so many great artists in this book. And so you mentioned that this was an idea that came from your publisher. What is some things once you started? I guess when you started, at what point did you commit to it? Because you said first you were thinking about, okay, do I even have enough photos? And in 10 minutes you're like, okay, of course I do. What are some things that you hope that readers get out of this book? What do you hope that
Well,
general audiences will get out of this book from picking this book up?
well, I hope that of course, uh, younger people who are getting to see the blues will be able to read these stories and have the confidence, moving forward. Because the ages in my book range from I think Ivy Ford is the youngest to Irma Thomas, who I think is the oldest. Irma Thomas is one of the first people that I called, and you know what she said to me?
What'd you say?
Thank you for calling me while I'm still alive.
Yes,
She
yes,
she
yes.
was so accommodating and so nice to me, and I was scared to call her because she's a superstar, the soul queen of New Orleans. And
Yes, she
we
is.
were when we were on the phone talking. She goes, "I wonder if the Rolling Stones will call me on stage to sing what's that song? Time Out of Time, I think it is, the one that Irma Thomas made popular. Is that it?
Yes.
Out of Time? I think that's it. I hope. Wait,
What
what? Uh, Time is on my side?
time is on? Oh, yes, time is
Or is
on my
that,
side.
yeah,
I think
I'm
that's
sorry. So I correct myself. Time is on my side, which is uh a song that she made famous, and so did the Rolling Stones. And that year the Mick Jagger had some health problems, so they got canceled in New Orleans at the Jazz Fest. I felt bad for her, but she was one of the coolest first people to send back her. So what I did, we sent out a Q&A, and I said, you don't have to answer these questions. This is just a guideline. You can throw these in the garbage, say whatever you want. But most women pretty much answered the questions. Uh, you know, they didn't have to. They could write their own story, you know. And so I think what it is that makes this book so interesting is the diverse group of women. Liz Mandeville has the longest story in the
okay.
book.
Oh,
Liz Mandeville from Chicago. She has
yes.
a longer story, but she goes back to the 1980s playing blues in Chicago. You know, and then I've got uh, one of the really interesting stories is Sister Cookie, and she's from London. And the reason I put her in my book is because first time I heard her sing, she took me right to the Delta. And I'm like,
Ooh.
where did that voice? It was haunting, her voice. and she's grew up in London, but she's from Nigeria. But she wrote a really interesting story, and she's going to be a superstar too.
Mm.
She's only 32, 33 years old. So
Ooh,
anyway, she
I'm gonna
calls
have to
herself
check
the
her
Black.
out. Sister Cookie, is that what you call her?
Yeah, she first time I saw her was like back in 2014. Obviously, she's in her young 20s or 25 or so, and I was like, "Who is this girl?" But she's kind of obscure. She doesn't come out as much as some of the, that much. But when she comes out and performs, she can blow you away. It's wild. She's can she has a lot of YouTube videos you can check out where she plays piano and sings from her home. Good way to
Mm.
kind of see her. Uh, but she plays a lot of mix of stuff. But so a lot of these artists too, like Lisa Mann, who won a BMA. She's a bass player in Portland. There, she went out since the book came out and put out a metal album. But she got all kinds of accolades for it. But now she's kind of going back to the blues. You know.
Mm.
Hey, you know what? Mary Lane might be older than Irma Thomas. Mary Lane's in the book.
I was just
She might.
oh, you know what? That's right. Well, and Mary Lane, I know Mary Lane's in her 80s. Um,
Yeah, yeah. So she might be the oldest one. I take that back about Irma Thomas and stuff. But
mhm.
um, so most of the comments about what people are saying is just how the interesting choice of women, like, because it's so diverse. You know, like I got, I think, 4 or 5 from London, from the UK. I got
Mhm.
one from France, and then the rest are scattered all over the US. I tried to get, Canadian. I've got Dawn Tyler Watson,
Okay,
that
yes.
superstar up there. She's just incredible performer. I first saw her perform in France in 2012 in like the little side stage at a festival in Calais, France, that
Mhm.
which is right across the water from. You get on a boat. You get on a boat at Dover, UK, England, and then you take a boat, and the first stop it makes is Calais, France. So they
Mm.
used to have this festival called the Beautiful Swamp Blues Festival. Dietrich's played there. I saw Dietrich there. Yeah, and yeah, she's been there a couple times, I think. I don't know. Uh, but I saw her and this Dawn Tyler Watson. Now she was the one who I didn't have the good photographs of. And
Mm.
but I really wanted her to write books. She just keeps winning awards. She just won a Juno Award, which is the equivalent of like a BMA in Canada for her latest release. I forgot the name of it, but anyway, she just keeps winning awards. Whatever she does, she just wins. She's just she's just a really really talented and entertainer, and she feels the blues. You can feel, it, that she feels the blues. So
Absolutely.
when she sings, it comes across in the audience. You can't help but be touched by her performances.
Uh
So
huh. You're right about that. One thing I like about the book. I know that you have in the book it's separated. There's two sections where there's one where you do the blues legends from past and present, where you focus on the Mamie Smith and Ma Rainey and Bessie Smith and Etta James and Mavis Staples and Janis Joplin, and then you separate it into women in the blues today. And I appreciate how you do that because you give that historical context as well in the beginning. Um, but then also too, and I noticed that there's like at the beginning, there's a dedication to Coco Taylor as well, um, and and I can't wait to go through all the because I am going to rip through this whole book. I can't wait for this.
well, that was my publisher's idea to have women from the past. Now, I don't know if I would have gone back to the 20s and 30s, but I would have picked more like Ruth Brown and more women like from maybe the 1950s up, because I think that my listeners or the readers would know more about those people. And I also felt that Ma Rainey and those people were already covered so much, you know.
Mm-hmm.
But my publisher, when your publisher kind of puts up the money, then you have to go back and forth, negotiating, like some of the of who to put in there. But it also though was tough to narrow it down to 12, um, legends. It was very tough. I had a list of 50 legends, and
I bet you did. And I
yeah,
bet that was
then I
tough doing that.
well, there's a variety here, as you see. One of the people that I was hoping to get a not even put in the legends was Mavis Staples. Um, I tried every which way to get her to write a story for this, but her publicist sent me a little something, I put in here because she, who doesn't love Mavis Staples? You know,
We all love Mavis.
I mean, she's our Chicago gal. I mean, her performances just bring me to my knees, and I feel so blessed to see her so many times. But I couldn't. I saw her in London. I give her notes and everything. I put them on stage because I'm always in the photography pit. But I couldn't get anything directly from her, so I was sort of sad. I was so sad for a while I couldn't even work on the book because I couldn't get Mavis to write a story. But we got her in there, and we got a little bit of something about her, and um, and I put her on my cover, and of her performance, this performance she gave a couple of years ago at Chicago Blues Festival, which everybody was awed beyond belief at that performance. Might have been the last time she performed at the Chicago Blues Festival. I think it was 2018.
Something like that. 20. I think it was
Yeah,
2018 or
I think of
2019.
2018. But yeah, but then I got Etta in there, and you know, it was just one of my favorites who I was lucky to see a few times. Although, Etta James, she was always really difficult to photograph because when she came to Chicago, she usually only played the House of Blues, right?
Okay.
I don't know what her connection was. And you have to give up your firstborn to get a photo pass there. They are great because it's owned by Live Nation,
Mhm.
So I always had trouble getting a photo pass. And, it just would kill me to go see her and not be able to take pictures. Finally, in 2009 or something, I got a photo pass through Chicago Blues Guide. But um, I think you only get like the first three songs or something. And so Etta James always sat in a chair, and she had a music stand on one side, and she had these chairs, really hard armrests. So it was like you had the very narrow window to capture her. And I was lucky I got her, before she passed in 2012. So
Mhm.
that, for me as a photographer, oh, that was really important and really cool to actually have a few photos of her in my collection. So that was exciting. So I'm glad that she's in my book too.
And I know
But
the readers will be glad too because you've got many photos and you've got some great stories from a lot of artists. And I want to, I'd love to know, Jennifer, as you think about even just your years of taking photos and thinking about this book, are there any stories in particular that pop out that maybe you wanted the readers to know about and maybe give us a sneak preview of what they can expect to find in the book?
well, what makes the book interesting is that uh, they all wrote their own stories in their own words. I'm not a writer, I'm a photographer. So my pictures just accompany them, but I think you can't get bored. You could open this book to any page and you don't have to read it front to back. You could open it up to Dana Dana Gillespie has put out over 70 blues albums, I think it is. She's in my book.
Ooh.
She's a British blues star, uh, and has been putting out blues albums since the 1960s. And I bet you most of America's never even heard of her. She's done a lot of film too. She's regularly good friends with David Bowie, but I mean, you could just open it up and you know, it, wherever you open it up, it's always going to be a good story to read, you know. So
Yes, it is. And I'm looking at some of these other artists that we play a lot on here, like Barbara Carr, and Diana Greenleaf, and of course Dietra Farr. And I am so amazed, but I just love this. Um, I love this. This is such a great resource, and just this is great. You know,
should I do a volume two? What do you
I
think?
think you should, because I know there are a lot of other women that definitely should be documented, their stories be told, and I think this is awesome. I think this is a great way to. I'm just looking through it, and I'm just looking as I'm talking with you now. Just I'm going back through the table of contents again and going through some of these pages. This is just wonderful.
Well, I followed people like Nellie, Tiger Travis. I followed her entire career. She's a little bit younger than me, and she came out of the scene when I started really, really, dedicating my whole life to the blues. And so, without a doubt, I would put Nellie in there, and another really cool young lady who's in my book that I saw only one time in Denmark. Her name is Kat Riggins, and she's out of Florida. And the minute I saw her sing, I'm like, oh my God, this girl's got the blues. And her story is really interesting. Just like anybody, trying to tell her story about how she took a risk of quitting serving tables to, can I do this full time? And that was a big deal. But she did it, and she's making waves, and look out for her, that young girl, Kat Riggins. She's a pretty cool person, but I'll,
We'll have to definitely. I'll definitely look out for Cat Riggins. But this
yeah.
is. But this is a. I really like this. And just there's so many women that you've included in here. Nora Jean Wallace, who I know just released a new CD, and
Do
oh,
you know where? Do you know where I interviewed Nora Jean Wallace for this book?
where?
She was on the European Blues Cruise, and she was so excited to be there. I had a blast with her on the European Blues Cruise. That girl is so funny. And you know what she did on the European Blues Cruise? She sang. She sang one time, and then she was scheduled to sing on the Friday. But some of the people on the European Blues Cruise had to get off in Genoa, Italy, because that's where they got on. Because it makes these stops, the cruise ship in the Mediterranean,
Mm-hmm.
and the people who were getting off in Genoa, Italy, demanded that she play on the Thursday instead of the Friday because she gave such an outstanding performance that they wanted to see her again. And they like, that girl, we got to see, we want to, she had a command performance because
Mm.
she just was so flipping brought down the house. And you know who else was on there was Carl Weathersby, and they're good friends.
Oh.
So can you imagine being in sailing the Mediterranean with Nora Jean and Carl Weathersby? I had so much fun. I really got to talk a lot to Carl Weathersby, and I've always been a fan of his. So, and they're such good friends. Like every time Nora Jean played, Carl would be on guitar, and they would perform together, and that was really special. But
Mm.
I interviewed her for this book on that boat on the blues cruise.
Wonderful.
She
That is
she
awesome. Nora
she's
Jean can tear down a house. I know she can.
hello, hello, my God, she. To get a command performance in the middle of the Mediterranean Sea, and the Italians are probably mostly Italians saying, "I'm not getting off this boat until she plays again for us."
Oh
That's
my
pretty.
gosh.
That's pretty cool, huh?
Yes, it
You
is.
know.
So Jennifer, okay. So I guess tell me what now. Tell me if people want to purchase this book, where can they purchase 50 Women in the Blues? How can they find it? How can they get in contact with you?
Well, they can. I'm on Facebook all the time under Jennifer Noble, and you can always message me. I do have a few copies of my book at my mom's house in Chicago, and I can always send a book from there. Uh, but you can also get it off of Amazon, you know. And it's on a couple other book places, but most people usually go to Amazon. You know, my one girlfriend bought hers off of eBay.
Oh wow.
I'm like, I know, that's what I said. I'm like, where'd you find my book on eBay?
Well, this is
You know?
definitely a collector's item for all the blues aficionados out there. So I guess I can't be too surprised.
Well, the thing is, there's only 1,000 of these hard copies printed,
Oh,
and that's it. Now, I thought my publisher mentioned my publisher Cheryl Robeson with Aurora Metro Books uh, mentioned that we possibly might have a what do you call that, a soft cover there, a paperback or whatever. But I don't know how that will turn out. Because the quality of this book, this hardcover book, is amazing. When you see photos on a computer and then they go to print, it can turn out totally different, and you just don't know. So I was so nervous about how would these photos turn out in print. And when I got the book, I almost cried. I'm like, wow, these are beautiful. Who's this printer? And it was supposed to actually be sent to China to get printed because it's so much cheaper, but we ran out of time, and so she had to get it printed in England. And so whoever this guy is, I don't know where the printer is, but wow, I was so super impressed. This is a beautiful book. It's beautiful hard copy. So I'll have to get you one, Jacob, for put me on the radio, Wix.
yeah, I
And
can't wait because I definitely need a hard copy but I am so excited that I have this electronic version now just so I can look through it because I can't wait. This is great. This is great stuff right here.
yeah, yeah, it is a good book, and of course it has more Chicago women than any other women, but that's because I'm from Chicago, obviously, and I've spent 25 years straight. This is the first year not taking pictures of the Chicago Blues Fest, which has given me a platform to get many of these photos. Many of these great photos are because I had a press pass thanks to Chicago Blues Guide to take pictures at the Chicago Blues Fest, which artists come from all over for that, and so I was really lucky to be 25 years straight. Now this is the first year. It's like, oh, no Blues Fest. I'm like, what will I do with myself? I mean, I would fly in and fly out, because I have work. I fly in and spend those 3 days. It used to be four, taking pictures, and then have to hurry back to London to get back to work. Almost killed me. I am getting a little old for that, but
well, well, Jennifer, I am I am so glad that we've had a chance to connect today and to talk about this book that you released, 50 Women in the Blues. You said people can find it on Amazon. You said you saw someone buy it on eBay, which I'm not surprised by.
well,
You
I
said
know
they
it's
can
weird.
purchase it on
Or they can,
or they can.
I can send them. Yeah, I can send them an autographed version if they want.
Okay, and how do
Want
they get in
my autograph.
contact with you, Jennifer?
Well, you can email me at my radio email, which is called Jukinjen, Jukin, Jenn at gmail.com. I think that's a good way to. I don't think anybody picks up the phone anymore. You can get hold of me on Messenger, and on Facebook.
Yes.
I'm on Facebook because it keeps me in touch with
Yes.
everybody in Chicago, all my family and friends. I couldn't imagine. I couldn't imagine being as happy as I am over here if I didn't have Facebook.
I I completely understand. I agree with you. I love how Facebook keeps me connected with everyone. So like
I
you,
know.
I can stay connected with you and do this interview.
I know. I'm so excited. Your show is great. I love your show, but I swear, I mean, I have to be at work at 9 in the morning. So it's a little bit tough. Your show starts, when I have to at midnight, so it's hard for me here.
Oh, that's
Do you
right.
think? Do you think you'll ever? I know it kills me because I love your laughter. I love the way you interact with the people and talk, and it's just. So, do you think your show will ever have a re-listen?
Well, we
or
do.
really?
So, like this interview is being recorded. So, like,
Uh-huh.
it'll be. So, what I'm doing is I'm uploading all the interviews. I used to upload the entire shows on a website at bluesandnews.com, but we ran
Okay.
into copyright issues, so we don't upload the whole show. But what I will
Right.
do is I preserve the interviews if we do them, and so I've got to figure out a way. I think we I, we might be working on doing some rebroadcasts on Buddy Guy Radio with the whole show. So hopefully we can do something like that. That way people can catch it, for our because
Yeah.
I know you're not the only one. I've got a lot of friends overseas who'd like to tune in and listen to the show. So
Well, I waited for years and years for WVCB, College of DuPage Radio, they finally just started a year ago or so, doing archive shows, and they're archived for 2 weeks. And oh, I can't tell you how excited I am because they start blues at 7 and go till 5 in the morning. But you can listen to them now anytime you want. On Saturday night, they have, from 7 to 5 a.m. Blues, blues, blues. And in Chicago, a lot of Chicago connection, blues. So, oh, it saves me, and I'm so excited. And so hopefully someday, I can re-listen to your show in case, because I have to get sleep for work.
yeah,
I see.
absolutely.
Yeah. Well, I sit in a classroom and I assist special needs kids, and that are like my student that I assist the most is 17 years old. But there's no sleeping and napping in class. When you're supposed to be a teacher's assistant, so it's like got to be awake.
Right. No, absolutely. You do need to be
Yeah,
awake. So, yeah,
yeah.
no, that is important. Oh,
But
Jennifer, but thank you so much. I appreciate this. This has been so great. I'm happy that we've been able to talk and do this interview and talk about the book and let everyone know about the book, 50 Women in the Blues, and how they can find it. So they can find it on
yeah,
Amazon. They can also reach out to you. They can email you, Jennifer Noble, at Jukinjen, that's JUKINJENN, at gmail.com. And they can get
yeah.
information from you about the book as well.
Yeah. I mean, I should be on Twitter and Instagram more, but I'm just can't keep up with it all. I have some photos on. Yeah, I'm a photographer. I guess I'm supposed to be on Instagram 24/7, but I can't keep up. I just like I just resign myself to I'm good at the Facebook, but I'm not good at all this tweeting and
That's
it's
okay.
too much. It's too much, Jacob.
I'm not
It's
that
too
good at it
much.
either. I'm not the
I
greatest.
know. You got to pick something. You got to pick something.
That's
So,
right. That's right.
anyway,
Well,
anyway,
yeah.
I know you got to wrap this up because you got things to do, and I'm just so thrilled to be on your show. I've always been a fan of you. You're such a great um, showman when you get on stage. I got
Well,
pictures
thank
of you
you.
going years back of you singing, and I hope to catch you again someday. Don't ever give up singing those blues because you're really a good entertainer.
Ooh, thank you so much. I appreciate that. I do.
You really are. I mean, your future is bright should you ever decide to sing blues a little bit more, but I understand there's not a lot of money in it. You got to pay the bills.
But well, and I'll keep doing radio and other stuff too, because I like to support, keep my foot in the door. So I like to do dabble in quite a few things. But who knows? I might have a music project coming out. So who knows? I might
Oh,
be working
that's
on something.
That's good. Yeah, I hope to do a radio show, a special one-off radio show about my book. I have all the women in my book. I already got all the songs picked out. I'm a little rusty on doing all the techie stuff here. Radio show, you gotta be techie, you make sure everything's working right. But hopefully, maybe in this month, I will put out a radio show with just the women in my book.
I think that would be awesome. And you have to let me know
Maybe.
so I can tune in and listen.
Yeah, hopefully it'll be online and you know, cross your fingers so you get
Yes.
that together.
Yes. 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 Yes.
Okay. Do we call
Ja-
you, so when you're on the radio, do we call you Brother Jacob
That's
for your
right.
radio
No, and that's
DJ?
my stage name too. So yes, Brother Jacob.
Brother
That's right.
Jacob. Okay, Brother Jacob. Yeah. Okay. Well, this has been great, and I'm so excited and thankful. And now I'm gonna get off this phone and go check out some blues before we get shut down in London again.
Well, you have fun for me too, Jennifer, and thank you
Okay,
so
I will.
much. I sure do appreciate this.
Okay. Okay. You take care.
All right,
Cheers.
you too. Cheers.
Cheers. Goodbye.
Bye bye, Jennifer.